Joining me on the program now, though, from Christian Savings, Andy Milne, kia ora. Good morning. Thanks for your time.
Good day, Andrew. Great to speak to you.
It's a little bit less controversial than Te Tiriti today, but a very important topic. And I know for churches in particular, this is a tricky one to get right when it comes to, I suppose, supporting ministry staff, pastors and other staff members. Often, particularly if pastors are being called from a different part of the country, they're relocating with their family. One of the issues is, can we provide appropriate housing for the staff at our church? And hey, depending on which part of the country you're living in, this can get very expensive indeed, but we're wanting to make sure we look after our pastors, right?
You're absolutely right, Andrew. Look, gone are the days where, we used to have a church with a manse, right beside it for the minister or the vicar, the pastor to live in. It still happens, but it's not the norm anymore. And just like in our society as a whole, we've talked a lot about the housing crisis in New Zealand, housing instability, and the effects that has on socioeconomic outcomes. The same is very true in the church. The same true for church employees. Our ministers, look, very, very few people go into ministry with the aim of getting rich or building an asset base. But it is one of the barriers that we at Christian Savings, most commonly hear of when we're talking to churches is barriers to recruitment. I understand from one denomination that they have something like 35 vacancies nationwide for pastors.
Wow.
And one of the issues, not the only issue by any means, but one of the issues is, as you say, providing accommodation. So it's something that's very, very top of mind for us at Christian Savings, something that we're keen to address, Andrew.
Is it, it'll be different depending on the church situation. And as you say, there's some churches that still have the manses, although it's rarer now. Is it normal in a church situation when they're negotiating perhaps a contract with a pastor or a staff member for some type of accommodation provision or accommodation allowance to be a part of that contract? Is that reasonably standard practice now?
That is quite typical. Either a church will provide church-owned accommodation that the minister, vicar, pastor lives in as part of their salary, or they are paid what's often referred to as a stipend or some kind of living allowance that goes towards that accommodation.
Well, part of the tricky aspect about this is, hey, maybe the previous a church leader was a single bloke in a one-bedroom apartment is absolutely fine. The next guy's got 4 kids. That I suppose different accommodation needs depending on who the pastor is. There needs to be some flexibility in that space.
Well, that's right. It's no longer one size fits all, and we understand there are a lot of different needs, a lot of different requirements in that area. So what we're doing at Christian Savings is next week we're actually we've got a workshop, a bit of a housing symposium where we're bringing together representatives from every major church denomination and some large parachurch organisations in the country, getting them in a room together with some really innovative, housing providers and consultants who work in accommodation. We recognise, that these are big issues. So what we want to do is talk through what are some of the barriers here. What are the common issues we face as a church, as a body of believers, and what can we do about it? So the aim is that rather than working in our own sort of denominational silos. We want to break those down because these issues are common to all. So we want to bring greater collaboration and greater innovation in the area of housing for ministers.
When it comes to Christian savings, and hey, brilliant idea for this conference. Actually, let's get together and share ideas. Hey, this has worked for us, and other people will be able to contribute into that. But from a financial point of view, is this the sort of thing that the Christian savings would be involved with? I know that you're involved in lending money to churches and Christian organisations to build buildings and to do ministry, but providing housing for pastoral staff, that's also a part of your core business?
100%, Andrew. So yes, we do lend money to churches who have decided that they are going to build and own their own manses for their vicars, their pastors. But we also are involved in lending aiming to lend to ministers directly to help them into their own home, so that they have an asset of their own, once they leave ministry, once they retire, etc. So that they've got an asset that they've built up over that time. So that's something we're very passionate about, trying to find innovative ways to get pastors into their own homes.
Certainly some good thinking on this topic, and I know you and the team have come up with some wonderful innovative solutions. For people listening into this who are perhaps in that space of going, hey gosh, we've got a bit of a problem here, or hey, maybe they want to find out more about this the seminar that is happening, how can people connect? What's the best way of getting in contact, Andy?
The best way is via our website, www.christiansavings.co.nz. Lauren Willerton heads up our residential lending team, so she'd be delighted to talk to any church or any pastor that's looking for advice around residential options. But connect via our website, christiansavings.co.nz. And if any listeners are keen to support us by way of depositing funds with us that can then be lent into these projects, we'd be delighted to have a conversation with them also.
So christiansavings.co.nz. One more time for the details, though, on this seminar that's coming up. If people are going, hey, that sounds brilliant, love to be involved, what's the details on that once again, Andy?
So it is next week. It's not a public event, Andrew, but it's one where we will be canvassing the issues with church leadership, and that's going to hopefully drive incredible outcomes for all churches throughout New Zealand, and one that will be hopefully pay dividends for the church in New Zealand.
I'm sure it will. Sorry for that. Important to clarify, perhaps, but for more information, christiansavings.co.nz. Thanks for what you do, Andy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Andrew.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.